Hey guys, and welcome back. In the last video, we added a DB to our system, and now we're finally ready to start adding routes. And so basically, what routes are, if you're not familiar, a way to handle URLs in your application. So, for example, before we had our server running, and we could curl localhost, right? Localhost 6,000, and we get for a page not found because there are no routes attached to our application. So, for example, the same thing up here. Nothing, no routes. Okay. Okay. So, how do we do this? Well, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but when you get to a really large app, I find it very hard to manage one routing file. So I like to split it up into different files based on URL routes and subroutes. So the very first thing you need is some structs to handle that. And so I've went ahead and created these, what I think we're going to need here to create unlimited routes for even a massive application. Okay, just to give you kind of an idea of the application that, well, the company I work for, the application we have now has probably something like maybe 500 routes, maybe quite a lot. And so I think and this works for us, so I think it would probably work for almost any application, even massive applications. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, we need an array of routes to pass back because every subroute is going to have one to many routes, right? So, like for example, if you had /session, right? You might have session create or session store or all sorts, destroy the different routes, right? Based on this subroute here of session. So you need an array of different routes, different functions to handle that. And then also you need middleware as well for that route. So for example, these session routes are probably not going to have any kind of session check because, well, this is where we're handling sessions. But something like, V1 users, that get route might have a session because you don't want someone grabbing users unless they are authenticated to grab users, right? So you need a middleware to handle that to make sure that any route out and users, create, store, post, get requests, everything under V1 users is authenticated, and you don't want to rewrite that authentication multiple times. And middleware helps you do that. So we have a subroute package, which basically gives us an array of routes, or I guess in Go term, a slice of routes, right? So a bunch of routes, one to many routes, and a middleware function to handle that. And then we append that to our router. So the router we're actually going to be using is Gorilla Mux at first, okay? And there's many different ones out there, but I really find that Gorilla Mux works really well. And of course, you'll hear people argue that you can use HTTP to do net HTTP to do anything, and I agree that's true. But when you get to really complex applications, Mux just makes it, in my opinion, so much easier with the route matching and all this really cool stuff. And all things like, for example, this kind of route, users 1, 2, 3 show routes where you're showing specific user information or, well, any resource information at all. Mux it's really powerful and allows you to do it nice and easy. And plus, it also allows you to grab that data out of the URL really easily, which using just net HTTP is a little bit more difficult. And so I really like Gorilla Mux, and I think after using it for a little bit, I think you'll agree. So first thing we need to do is add this to our install to make sure that we actually have Gorilla Mux. So we go into our install. Well, actually, I haven't created one yet. Well, let's go ahead and create one. So in install, okay, and make install. Let's do routes, and then we'll install routes, and then we'll do go get. Of course, we want to make sure we always have the newest version. And there, now we have what we need for routes. And let's go ahead and actually add the DB one as well, because I guess I didn't do that in the last one. DB go get -u github.com / it's go XRM, I believe, and then XORM. That's right. There we go. And then let's say make. Oops. And that way you can just go into your application like so and just say let's close it. Make install, and it will install everything you need for your application. Nice and easy, right? Make files are awesome. I suggest you use them as best you can. Okay. Oh, and also I added a kind of a Go installer here, so you can just run this locally and it will install whatever version of Go you want to run. So, like for example, if you want to, you say make install Go, and you can install it'll just install Go for you, Audio magically, right? Nice and easy. Okay, and of course you need to make sure you add these to your bash if you haven't already. But I assume if you're this far along, you have all your Go path, everything all set up, and you might need to modify this slightly depending on how your Go root and stuff are set up in your bash. Okay, there we go. So let's create a basic route. So before we go into actually using these routes, I want to just create a simple route real quick, just to show you. So we need to create, well, we'll do it here for now. GitHub.com / Gorilla Mux, right? Okay, we need to create a Mux router. So we'll say router equal to Mux dot new router. We're not going to add anything else to it. We'll just start. Oh, it's not. That's right. What am I doing? Not a pointer. Okay, and then we can just do something simple like this. We'll say and then we need to create a home router, a home route here, function home handler. Okay, and then it has I believe it's faster to copy and paste this. There we go. That right there. Oh, that's not the right one. Oh, we'll just grab it out of here. It's faster to do it this way. Controllers, home, index. Oops. Right here. There we go. And then we'll say w.write, and then we'll return a byte slice here. We'll say hello world, and then we'll pass the router into here like so. And then of course we run our project here, make, and then we go into our localhost here like so, 6000, and we should get hello world. Why is this not type that right? Localhost 6000. Did I not type that right? Starting server host. What am I doing wrong here? We're getting data. Hold on a second. There we go. I'm not sure. I must have something else running. Anyway, that's okay. So there we go. See 3000 hello world. So our servers are serving data, and we have a very basic route. So as you can imagine, you can just keep adding routes and adding routes. But this file is going to get really big, really fast, assuming you have any kind of decent-sized application. Plus, there's no middleware, no session handling. Like it's not going to work. It's not going to scale large scale, right? But you can see how you can write basic routes into the system. So let's kind of build this out into files. So because router is actually a system, let's add a router here, like so. Well, I don't need the router.go. Oh yeah, we were using DEP earlier, weren't we? That's why. That's why it wasn't. That's why I didn't have anything to make file. I forgot about that. Well, that's okay. We'll leave it in there. Okay. So we need to package router. We need to import Gorilla Mux, right? Basically, we need to copy what we had in the other file, github.com / Gorilla Mux. Oops, Mux, and then we need to do function new router, right? And it's going to return a router. Say return. Mux dot new router, just for now. Actually, let's actually create a router function. So type router struct. And it's going to have router. It's mux router. And then we're going to say r is equal to router. And then we'll say r dot router is equal to mux dot new router, like so, and then we'll return. And let's actually r like so. No, oops, I messed that up. Wow. Router, there we go. And now I don't have to do that stuff. There we go. Okay, and then I can include this in our app over here. So let's see here. Learning GoLang api.example.com/source/system router, and we're gonna call that. We're gonna say router. Let's see here. Our new router, like so. Gonna comment out this stuff here. We'll say r dot router. Let's see. Grab this stuff here real quick. Just real quick. That can go away. Go into our router here. Let's see, we'll grab this stuff right here. We'll say r dot router, and everything should just work the way it did before. Oh, undefined HTTP. Oh, that's right. Add HTTP, like so. Make okay, and then we should be able to curl it like so. Oh, oops, 3000 curl, and then refresh. Good. Okay, so now we've moved our router out of our application itself. Just instantiated a new router, passed an HTTP listen, so our routing is where it's supposed to be. You know, separation of responsibilities, right? Our router is handled here. We can instantiate all of our functionality here. We can include routes, controllers, everything in here. Now, I don't like doing this, so I'm gonna actually do this instead. I'm gonna say function r router init. We're gonna have an initialization function here. We're gonna do this like so. There we go. And then in here, we're gonna have to call r.init like there. There we go. Okay, and that should fix everything. Okay. Now you can actually do everything in the new router up here, but to me it makes more sense to have a place where you create a router. So in case you need to have any extra options, like I'll show you on this project I was messing with before. I did stuff like this where I was forcing strict slash, that kind of thing. I actually prefer that. We're actually going to do that right now. You know, what this does is, for example, if you have a route like I don't know, example.com/users, and you do this, that will route to users. So they're basically the same route. So if people fat fingering things are not typing in things the right way, it will evaluate it properly. So I suggest always keeping the strict slash true. Anyway. Okay. So now we have a basic route handled. We have our home handler right here. Now, I think a kind of a better way to initialize this router is to have a a file separating routes from the router itself. So let's go ahead and do that. Routes.go package. This is actually router. Remember, it's the same package, right? Function get routes, right? Okay, and we need to import our types that we created here. So learning GoLang API dot example.com / it's going to be under package types, and then routes, like so. Okay, and then I have one over here that I like to use like this. So we're going to need to create a middleware function. So middleware, and then that's gonna. I'm gonna just actually take this one right out here. Create middleware there, so, and then I'm gonna just copy this guy altogether. It's just faster to do it this way, like so. We don't need the DB quite yet. We'll handle that in a little bit. You'll see this is saying routes, so it's actually returning this slice here, routes slice, right? It's returning the array we're going to or the slice we're going to essentially build here, and then actually we don't have a home handler or an auth handler yet, so we're going to comment out the stuff just for now, and let's go ahead and actually create this handler. So we're going to need to create a new folder under source called controllers, right? And then we need to have a new folder, home, and then we need to have home.go, and then index.go, new file, index.go. Okay, so the home.go is just where we don't actually need anything in this file right now. And then package home front index, right? Which before, if you remember, here we're gonna just actually take this guy out like so. Gonna remove that for now. Go to our home index here. There we go. Pull this guy out like so. Router here. We don't need this stuff quite yet. Pull out these things here. We do need to have our home controller though. So once again, learning GoLang API.example.com / source controllers, and then home, and this is going to be our home handler, like so. And this is grabbing the handler out of here, so you can do all of our logic for index here. It makes it nice and easy to keep our logic just in one place. Import net HTTP, like so. But we also have a route handler here, and then a router over here. So we're going to go into our router, and we're going to do this. So in our init function, like so, we're going to say use middleware, because remember, this is one package, so this function is globally available, right? Makes sense. And then we're going to come into here, and we're going to grab our get routes, like so. So we're going to say, now we don't need the DB quite yet. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay. So what this is saying is okay, well, we have created a new route with our route definition here, okay, that has a name of home, the method of get. This is the route on the URL that on the URL that's going to match, and this is the function that's going to run on that route, which we've defined here, right? And then of course it's going to return data. So this should just work. I might get an error or two. Okay, hold on a second. Imported not used, source router. Oh, I kept that in there because we're not using HTTP here anymore. What else? Route r.router. Oh, router.use. There we go. Router. Go clear. Make. What else do we have here? Imported, not used, home. Oh, I messed it up. There we go. There we go. And make. And routes go on HTTP undefined. Oh my gosh. Net HTTP. This is when you go too fast and don't. Okay, clear, make, and we should be good. And curl, hello world. And yay! So now we have separation responsibilities. We have a routes file that handles all of our routes. It's dynamic, so we well not you know at runtime dynamic, but on build time dynamic. We can add whatever we want to this file. We only have to worry about routes and handlers. We don't have to worry about any logic of that handler. We have middleware, where if we wanted any route on the system, because remember this is the middleware for the whole system, right? We can handle any kind of logic in here. So, for example, if you wanted to add logging or something, which I'm actually going to show you, Gorilla comes with a built-in logging, which is even cooler. But you can handle this. This is every route that comes to the system runs through this middleware. So anything you need, you can add to this middleware right here, nice and easy. We have a router that handles just the routing, right? So we're not handling just the instantiation of routes with that router, right? And of course, you can add more logic in here as you need. And we have a controller here that handles just the logic for this this function. So we have the basis of a large app, and you can see we can just scale this thing out. And so I think it's actually probably a good time to stop in this video. I think in the next video we're going to go over sub-routes. So as I was telling you before, how you can have middleware for only certain routes, and then sub-routes of those routes. And it makes it nice and easy to say, okay, well, I only want sessions for routes A, B, but not C and D, kind of a thing, if that makes sense. Where in this case right now, if we put any session at all, we have to add logic in the middleware here that says what route matches. It's not a good way to build, but this is a good basis for what we're going to build next. So I hope this was helpful and interesting, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.